How to draw like Yukinobu Tatsu. You want to learn how Yukinobu Tatsu draws dandadan? Don't worry, I am here for you. But first off, Happy New Year. This year we need new resolutions. I want us to actually increase the visibility of the channel. For us to reach that goal, you only have one thing to do. Subscribe. I mean, like, it's easy. Just tear me up the subscribe button so we can put on everybody to start drawing. Because I believe that everybody is an artist to a certain degree, and my goal here is to gather everyone so we can all be artists and grow together. Beginners, already experienced artists, even people who want to learn quick things, I am here for everybody. So subscribe to the channel. 2025 will be crazy. I am sure that we're gonna do great things. Drawing like Yukinobu Tatsu got me into a certain point where my own art style evolved. And the thing that I've learned is that the steps that I used were really effective to learn art styles. And it can genuinely help you learn any kind of art style. We're gonna do two parts. First part where I'm gonna analyze the style and the composition of his drawings. Then the second part will be to set it all up and create a character that we're gonna name. You know what? I'll let you in the comment choose his name. Because I will be doing other vids on drawing like my favorite artists and authors. So find him a crazy name. Okay. Let's directly start. Yukinobu Tatsu is an artist that I really like for how original and clever his art style is. When I'm saying clever, I'm talking way more about how he is able to find tricks to differentiate his art style from the others. Let's look at his drawing first. Here we can analyze the most of what his art style is about. A lot of complementary colors that are usually bright, with a great effect that makes it look like it has that paper pencil texture. Those are the really big things that I noticed when I first saw this, so I started trying to find a brush that could really mimic that effect, and I ended up finding one. And just by doing this, I noticed a huge detail that is really important for an art style: the line art. Yes, if there is one thing that Yukinobu Tatsu always had, is a really classic type of line art. He usually uses curves and his lines are not really thin and not really thick. He's perfectly in the middle, which gives a really simple way of showing things. And he does that with and without colors. Where me, I was sometimes going really hard on my lines and I was making them really thick. To actually have that simplified kind of art style, he does the opposite. He focuses on places where there is a need to add details and he don't do really exaggerated lines like I do. And after learning and practicing his line art, I started to actually like it. It was fun because even though I know how to gently focus on details, I don't always do it, and seeing how he does that was a new experience, and it helped me with the final result too. So just the way he does his shadings was different than mine, and doing something different was the funny part. But this is when it gets kinda hard. The thing that I noticed too when I searched for a good brush to mimic that paper pencil aesthetic was that he really used this to add volume to closes. And that was a new thing that I had to learn, because at first when I thought about learning his art style, I was really focused on the manga, but I ended up seeing that I could still learn some pretty interesting things with his manga covers and with how he does colors on his characters. I started drawing closes to see if I actually understood how he does it, so I directly got to it. We got our character right here. I still didn't put the face and the hair because this is what we will do after I am done with closes. Right now he is just a bold faceless dude, but no worries, he will be gorgeous by the end of that session. When I started putting closes on this character, I remembered that I forgot a really important part for an art style: the proportions, because it is also something that defines an art style. We can see that his characters don't have exaggerated features. The rib cage is not usually larger than the waist, and he makes legs a little bit longer than the upper body. All those things made it really difficult to actually stick with one version of the final drawing, and it was always natural for me. I never really thought about how I draw closes and my proportions. It has always been something automatic. But here I really had to go back to where I started, and bro, damn, it was tough. And even me getting to the point where I understood how he does his line art and his proportion, etc., I started to see that I first off began with the wrong foundations. See, at the beginning of our analysis, I thought that my style was completely different and that it wouldn't help me to get to the final result, but it was false. I really had a helpful tool that I was not aware of: my sense of adaptation. adapting my style for each characters I wanted to draw was really something that I was pretty good at. It's the thing that is making each of my characters unique but still in the same art style, and I wanted to do such a thing with our new character. So I used it to make that character unique but still looking like Yukinobu Tatsu art style. And with this drawing I was really going somewhere way closer to my art style. Just the pose, the way I was doing the pens, everything. So I needed a new start, and this is when I started doing what would end up being the final result. I started doing something that looked way more like his covers, and for that I needed to choose good colors that make sense and that he could have used. So I paid really close attention to how he uses colors, and in most of his covers he tends to draw his characters with their natural colors, and the thing that makes it really authentic is the background. The background colors are pretty simple. If you look closely to every covers, you will see that he takes 3 colors that he plays kinda like rubber bands, and on it he has those abstract black things that are kinda like ink stains, and that is a really cool way to show the vibe of his manga. Of course, if you don't have any clue of what Dadadan is, you will not guess, but it's a good way to show that we are in a fictional world where we will find unnatural things. So from there I had everything I needed to make the character. Only needed to learn the features of how he does his faces, and I almost had every tool I needed. That was probably the easiest and the funniest part of the entire session, because I just love to make faces. It's really the best way to show the personality of a character, and it's fun. So I didn't struggle with the hair, I just had to apply everything I learned, and yeah, I was pretty good. But there was one thing that I was missing. I didn't just want to do a simple Dandadan manga cover. The goal here was to actually see how he does his characters in colors but also without it. So I had that idea of just putting them both in the final result, and for that I now had to really focus on this manga. And the best way that I found was just to catch up the entire manga, to actually capture the manga aesthetic, and man, that was a fun experience. I won't spoil anything, but Dandadan was really a great manga, and the anime was really going crazy. Cause yeah, I also started the anime when it came out, but I had already read the manga a little bit, so I didn't think that it would have been that great, but that was really good, and I recommend it to everyone who doesn't know anything about the show. After reading and reading, I had the last piece of the final result, because reading the manga helped me to actually see how creative he is when it comes to designs, especially when characters transform themselves. And after taking a lot of inspiration from Okaran, I had a really cool idea with our character. Here he has that huge perfect coat, and when I studied Okaran transformation designs, I noticed that in one of his forms he has that big mouse covering his face. And I started thinking of making that character with a covered mouse too. So that was the first thing. I had to change the proportion of the perfect coat, and that was tough, especially to get a nice pose and a well proportioned face. And I had to respect everything I had learned before too, so I can say it was the hardest part. But hard doesn't mean impossible, so I made it out. I made a mad but not too mad face. I made his hair a little bit more dynamic, and the best part of that part, because I got 1,000 parts in that session, I gave the perfect cool teeth. Now, hear me out. The final result is still fire, but for me to get to the point of putting teeth on a perfect coat, what did I get myself into? With that said, I had a little bit of adjustment to do here and there, and I was done. But before showing you the final result and putting it on Instagram where there is all my favorite drawings of mine, let's do a quick recap. We first analyzed Yukinobu Tatsu art style, through all his aesthetic choices, the colors, the brushes he uses, that paper pencil effect, and his line art. Then we started focusing way more on how he structures his characters. How does he show volume on the clothes, the features and proportions. Then I started to focus on composition, the colors he uses and how he used them, to be done with the hard part first off. And I then did the fun part, which is the face, to end up making everything we learned in one result. I added the manga character for us to be able to say that we learned his art style in colors and without, and we were done. Let me show you the final result. Making that video was really tough, because for the first time I had to respect rules, which is a thing that I usually don't do. But it was actually fun. Even though it took a long time to finish, it was a good experience. So yeah, I mean, we did it. You did not actually do anything, you just watched me suffer. But I gotta say that the people that are already following me, guys, that really means a lot to me. And even though I literally take 1 full month to do a vid and answer to comments like I always say at the beginning of my vids, I am here for you. If you liked the final result, give a like, subscribe, you know what you gotta do. And with that said, it was how to draw in dandadan art style from Ibrandars. See you in my next vid.